Having money is awesome. Managing money, not so fun. Hi there, and if you are new to this channel, my name's Gabriel and I'm currently in my first year as a graduate analyst at the busy bank of Barclays, that was a lot of B's, in London. And one of the best parts about having a job, admittedly, is the paycheck. I mean, it's pretty awesome that you put in hours and hours of hard work, of your precious commodity of time, and at the other end of it, you get paid. Pretty cool, eh? However, the difficult part actually comes when you decide to manage that paycheck. When you actually try and decide where you should put that money. And because it's difficult, it results in the majority of people letting their money do absolutely nothing. It will sit there in their bank account, picking up 0% interest because if you've seen the world's economy right now, and that's about as poor of a decision as you can make when it comes to your personal finance. Turns out, literally just a couple of hours every single year of your time to sit down and deal with that money can potentially save you or earn you combined thousands of pounds, dollars, yen, euros, whatever your currency is. Personally for me, I like to sit down once every quarter, so every 3 months or so, just to check, is my money in the right places? Is there anywhere better I can be putting it? How much do I want to allocate to each place? And that is all the time that I see is needed to fully take care of my money. And that's exactly what I want to share with you in this video. I want to share how I manage my money, but not just that, the exact places where I put my money, why I put it there, and I guess just some of the lessons that I've picked up and learned through having managed my money to what I think is quite a proficient level over the past few years. To start off, let's take a bird's eye view of the 5 places that I like to keep my money. And after that, I'll dive a little bit deeper into each of those accounts individually so that we can understand a little bit more detail as to why my money is put in these places. These 5 accounts are my savings account, my investment account, a current account that kind of acts as a savings account, but I'll get into those details a little bit later, my everyday current account, and a credit card account. Yes, that might seem like a lot of places to have my money, but for me, after a couple of months of years of learning my own personal finances, it now takes me, honestly, less than an hour of work every 3 months to just check up on these, make sure they're in the right places, see if there are any better accounts that I can move my money to, and that's all it takes. Starting off with my current account. Now, this is the money that my paycheck will feed into. Now, what do I use it for? The main things are any expenses, any purchase I want to make that can't be made via a credit card. So you ever go into a shop and they don't take your credit card, this is my backup. This is the one that I will use to buy that product or that thing or whatever I'm trying to do. And to be honest, when it comes to an interest rate or getting money on my money that's in that account, I don't really worry too much. There's never really more than a couple of £100 sitting in that account at any one time. So for me, my main focus for this account is one that's really easy to use, one that the app has everything I need laid out nice and clearly, and that is all I want in a current account. Next is my credit card. Now, this is what I will use to buy pretty much everything that I want to buy with. The small purchases, that cup of coffee in the morning, that takeout, the books that I want to buy off Amazon, these all come off that card. My credit card personally is American Express. And the reason for that is that I like the points that will go towards air miles, flights, things like that, because in the olden days, I like to travel a lot. I hope to do it again in the future. And for me, the credit that I earn via paying for things on the credit card is worth it. But of course, I understand that when it comes to credit cards, you do have to bring in the word risk. There is a risk, especially with Amex cards, because of the astronomically high interest rates that they charge on it, and the real dangers that you can get into if you don't pay back your credit card on time. When it comes to the financial experts and their opinions on credit cards, you'll often see a big divide down the middle. On one side, you'll have experts praising them, saying that you should spend all of your money using a credit card to take advantage of the bonuses, the points, the discounts that you can get with a credit card, whilst the other side of experts will be screaming from the hilltops that you should avoid a credit card no matter what. Do not get used to the normality of using a credit card because ultimately it could rack up huge debts in your life. I personally understand both sides and find myself quite down the middle when it comes to the two. But to try and combat that for myself, I have one simple rule with my credit card. I will never spend more on my credit card than I have in my current and savings account combined. And on top of that, I will never ever not pay in full the amount that I owe on a credit card at the end of the month. And using these two things, I will ensure that I'm not using my credit card to buy things that I can't afford otherwise. Now onto investing. I personally use a platform called Nutmeg, which is only available, I believe, here in the UK, definitely not in the US. And the reason why I chose this platform was because after many hours of research, listening to podcasts from financial experts, watching YouTube videos, reading journals and blogs and newspaper articles, I settled on the fact that I was looking for a platform with the lowest fees possible, but also catered towards the beginner's market of investing. And for me, a newbie in the world of investing, this was perfect. All I had to do when it came to Nutmeg was to let them know how much I wanted to invest up front, how much I was going to put in every month, how long I wanted to invest for, and from that, they gave me a risk bracket, a level of risk that I simply had to select between 1 and 10. They do the diversification for me. They choose where my money's going to go based off that risk level, and that was all I needed to do. And whilst I admit Nutmeg is perfect for me now, it's exactly what I need in terms of minimal effort to maximum gains. I know that in the future, the likelihood is, as I learn more about investing, I will start to look to manage my own money a little bit more. Instead of selecting a number between 1 and 10, I'll look for the exact index funds or tracker funds that I want to invest into, and that will subsequently lead me to looking to lower cost platforms. But I do have to say, for a beginner, it is absolutely spot on. When it comes to investing, the key here is to ignore those highs, ignore the lows, and don't try and mess about with your money. Just leave it in there for the long term. I mean, if you're one of those people that are trying to take out or add money at certain points depending on the economy, then you're essentially taking on the role of what experienced professionals struggle to do on a day-to-day basis. And especially if you're a beginner, this is something for you to avoid. Think long term. The result of filming whilst your favorite team is playing football. Get in. Let me quickly break down exactly where my investments sit. So this is more relevant for those of you in the UK. If you're not in the UK, you might want to just skip to the next section. So apologies in advance. The two places that I like to keep my money are a stocks and shares ISA and a lifetime ISA. Now let's start with the stocks and shares ISA to begin with. Now this takes 10% of my salary every single month, no excuses. It's a direct debit that goes straight in from that current account that holds all of my money. The ideal goal here is to never touch that money and just let it grow and grow through the effects of compounding interest. And because I never want to touch that money, that can sit at a high level of risk, and I can put that all into equities, not really into bonds, and choose a risk level on Nutmeg of 7 or above. Next is the lifetime ISA. Now this is quite a specific one for the UK, where you can put money towards your first property that's under £450,000. And whatever you put in, up to £4,000 a year, the government will add a 25% bonus on. Now, because this money is specifically towards the goal of a first-time property, I know that I'm not going to be investing it for the long haul. And because of that, I set it at a lower risk on Nutmeg, something more in the region of 4 out of 10, heavily weighted towards bonds instead of equity. I could spend ages talking about what an ISA is, why you should put money in which one, but not really the right video for it. So I'm going to stick a link above me on one of the sides, and feel free to watch that video where I go into a little bit more detail about ISAs and about investing. Now, I do understand that investing and what I've spoken about, and probably what you've read online, can be quite intimidating to the point where you actually don't want to go and invest. But starting early and investing over a 30, 40-year period is such an amazing thing to do if you have the means to do it. The best way to illustrate this is if you take a person who has £2,000 a year and they can choose to either invest it or to put it in a savings account. Now let's say that with the investment account, they get the average return of the market over the past 20 years, which, as I said earlier, was about 10%. 40 years later, they will be sitting with over £1 million, dollars, whatever the currency you invested in at the end of that time period. Whereas if you went with a traditional savings account that at the moment you could probably get about 0.5% on, you'd be sitting with just over £100,000. Now, one is 10 times greater than the other. So just take that as an example of the amazing effects that compounding interest can have for you if you leave your money in investment over the long term. The fourth place that I keep my money is in a current account that I use to act as a savings account. Now, what do I mean by this? Because it sounds a little bit complicated. Currently in the UK, saving account interest rates are really low. And actually some of the best interest rates are offered on current accounts. The reason why people look to saving accounts in the first place is because of safety. And current accounts offer you the same safety, the same guaranteed interest rate for a fixed period of time on your money, no strings attached. Nothing like investing, there's not gonna be dips and highs. It's all gonna be a current steady amount of growth. The one stipulation when it comes to current accounts is that they probably do have terms and conditions. You'll probably have to have a certain amount coming in every month and a certain amount going out. You could have to set up direct debits from that account. You probably also have a maximum allowance that can go into that account. So they'll have a threshold of the amount of money you can put into it. Nevertheless, over the past few years, I have put as much money into these current accounts with high interest rates than saving accounts. And I found myself literally gaining hundreds of pounds more in interest in these accounts than I would in a traditional savings account. And the best advice that I would have for those in the UK is to go on a website such as Money Saving Expert, because they will always have the up-to-date, at the time, best current accounts that you can use with all the stipulations and things that you need to understand before opening that current account. And finally is saving rates. Now, at the moment, interest rates are so low in the UK that it can actually seem not worth your time to try and look around at different saving accounts. But if you have a large sum of money left over after putting your money away in the other 4 places that I've discussed, then it might be worth looking to see if you can get a little bit more interest here or there. Again, I would recommend using a website such as Money Saving Expert. I know that I'm not an expert when it comes to managing your personal finances, and I don't claim to be. This should definitely not be taken as financial advice. To be honest, off the back of these videos, you often get people telling you,
"You were so wrong about this and that, you could put your money here, you could open these other 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 accounts to make your money work even harder for you and to gain a couple of extra pounds here or there."
But the way that I look at it is that I see myself as an expert in my own personal finances. The personal finances that work quite simply only for me. And because of that, I have to make a decision as to the amount of time and resources that I want to put in terms of investigating the best places for my personal finances to get those results out of it. Of course, it goes without saying that the most important step when it comes to your personal finances is starting the journey. Without it, your money will not be managed and you will have no idea about the opportunities available to you. All I can say off the back of this is get started, start learning, and good luck on your journey.